because the more time that they spend on the platform, the chances are they will continue to renew their subscription next month and the month after that, and so on and so forth, right? So as a result, they want the users that have already signed up once to spend as much more time as possible, right? So that they stay hooked onto the platform. And second, for people who might not have joined the platform, maybe games become that hook for them to join the platform. Shubham also mentioned the same thing, that he created a Facebook account just because he wanted to play games like Farmville, etc. back in the day, right? So games sort of serve this kind of a dual purpose, irrespective of what kind of a core business the company is in, right? So you'll see pretty much edtech, e-commerce. I don't recall whether Uber and all have any kind of games. Just correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't. I personally haven't seen one, but maybe they might add next. But pretty much like video sharing apps and anything that's consumer facing, right? Where you have a lot of consumers coming in and out of your app or your website, you would get some benefit by adding games into the equation, right? So people can come in, spend more time on the app, and as a result, that indirectly translates to more business and more revenue for the company itself, right? So that's usually how games have started creeping in into this overall ecosystem.
Yep, I think me and Ranjit both, when we were working at Asset Reports, we were also working on mostly service-based projects for Sony Live. So creating like archery games, sniper shooter games, these basically any game you see on an ad that you find boring, right? We created all of them and put it on Sony Live. And I was confused as to, hey, why are these guys asking us to create these games? What is the motive behind it? But yeah, now gives us an understanding.
Yep, yep. And I think,
Also, like the games were given to MX player and the screensaver which we Redmi and other have. Then what they say is proper glance. Yeah, glance. The glance lock screen which the cheap phones have, we can play the games there at the instant. You can say without downloading anything. So
yep,
mostly these were HTML5 games like that. That's
yep,
why.
yep. I think there's an interesting question in the chat on the same topic. So Abhinav asked that, can we discuss how these games are actually getting designed for these platforms? Um, so I think if you abstract out basically a question slightly higher, right, which will encompass this answer as well. Like if we're thinking about games that are on these non-gaming platforms, right? Whether it's an educational platform, e-commerce platform, some site where you're going to buy something, any app or place where you might have seen a spin the wheel kind of thing. Um, Thread is a very good recent example that I can think of that have tried to do this very intelligently and smartly, right? Um, just drop me a yes or a no in the chat if you guys are using Cred, if any of you guys are using Cred or familiar with Cred. Yeah, just use the event chat for that. Um, so,
Yep.
like,
Yes, and also like GPay started giving this small games as a rewards point
right,
in Google Pay. You can check.
yeah, yeah. Google Pay keeps sending you
Every time
notifications.
every time they create a new event, they try to give a new game, just a tap or just a jump, like a small game for a small period.
Yeah.
That,
So here, like when you think about design of these games, um, no credit card, never. When you're thinking about these kind of games, um, what is it that you're thinking about? Manas, Ranjit, you guys have first had worked on these kind of game projects in your previous companies, right? So when you're designing them, when you're creating them, um, from a technology perspective, programming slash game design, what's the thought process in the team? How are you guys approaching this? And I can share my thought process towards the end.
Mostly like we are given a link of some other rival company, you can say, where we see the game and dynamics and try to implement a small part of it, and then try to build the whole game, you can say.
Yeah. Okay, Manas.
To add on this, so how it normally used to work was the client comes to us saying, "Hey, this particular game is doing very well on XYZ platform. We want to bring it to our platform as well." The challenge there comes that since they want like 20 to 30 games to coexist along with a streaming site, they want to make the size as low as possible. Plus, they want the platform itself to be like a WebGL platform, right? So Unity cannot be used because that is out of the question. So we had to move to a different engine called as Play Canvas. And Play Canvas gave you the ability of Unity, like a similar kind of a layout to Unity, but it is specializing only in WebGL builds. So you can make AR games on there, you can make your regular games on there, and it simply turns it into a normal H5 game. The backend again scripting, it does not support C sharp, so we had to move to TypeScript. Everything that we had to do just to save certain amount of space and to optimize the game for like a very heavy app already. So if you've already played Sony Live or use Sony Live, you'll notice that their app is slow as shit. So making games work on that platform was a challenge in itself.
Also, like Play Canvas is like a WebGL version of Unity, you can say, if you check on it. Similarly, in the later stage, they tried to create games in Cocos and that Phaser. All these engines are mostly for H5 games only, like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I think so. Think from think if you're Flipkart, right? And you are saying that, hey, I want to add games to my app, and the core purpose is that if an average Flipkart user that makes one purchase per month, um, I want to increase that to two purchases per month, right? And the user spends 2 hours across 30 days total, right? If I increase that 2 hours to potentially 4 hours, there is chance that the number of purchases made also increase, right? I mean, it's just a hypothetical way of thinking about how would a product manager think about this problem statement, right? Before they think about adding games, right? So hopefully the problem statement makes sense, right? Now, here the idea would be then to think about what kind of games can I add in. But the big constraint is, and I think Manas and Ranjit, you guys both kind of hinted on that, is that the big constraint is that you still have to remember that your core business is not to make money via games. Your core business is to use games to continue to engage and retain users, right? Engage basically means if they're coming in and leaving your app for 5 minutes, you basically make them stick for say more than 5 minutes, right? Whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, that's a separate metric. But then and retain means that you keep sending them push notifications like Google Pay does that, Cred does that. Hey, you have energy expiring, do this and you might win anything between 1 rupee and 100 rupees, right? Lucky draw, spin off a lottery or something like that, right? So the core business is still to make money, whether via e-commerces, then by selling goods, whether it's cred, then by doing payments and buying, the specific companies' products that are now listed on cred and so on and so forth, right? So the main business by which they make revenue is still something else. They're just adding games in it, right? But that should not come at the cost of performance degradation of the overall application itself or the website itself, right? So that's why there's so much focus that the app games themselves should be fairly light and run fairly fast, don't need too much installations, and as a result, HTML5 kind of games are usually better suited for this kind of an environment. And these are usually simple, casual games that people can play and jump out. You will never find games like Clash Royale that require a lot of dedicated effort, or games like chess where the session duration can be A single game can run hours, right? You'll not find these kind of games on these platforms. Why? Because that's not their core purpose, right? Their purpose is to continue keeping the users engaged and bring them back to the application as frequently as possible, right? And as a result, HTML5 kind of lends well to that equation, right? So that's how um, at least the technology side and the business side of the decision making goes in, right? Game design side is also kind of similar. Does anybody want to share any thought process? Like, how would you think about the game design of these games?
Okay, I'll just add one thing. Like even the titles that we were creating games for, right? So if I'm creating a shooter game, I'll give it the theme of CID. Even though the game looks has nothing to do with CID, right? You just call it CID shooter something, or you're chasing a criminal or something, and there's like a endless runner kind of a game where you just keep chasing someone in their SUV, the famous Scorpio that they had. So these kind of games they used to think of. The design side of things again, there might be a different layer to that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, Piyush.
A little off topic, but this just reminded me how there were games in even like uh, DTH services like Tata Sky. Like just recalled because I remember playing
Yeah,
a dumb Chota Bheem game. I don't know why I bought it. I bought it, and because that was just one missed call away to purchase
Yeah, but
that
there
game.
are still games in the DTS services also. You can say
Yeah,
they
yeah,
still have
yeah.
small games and where you can play on the TV like that. Also, like
Yeah.
since the Android TV is like getting famous, sometimes they also give the games you can say play on the television only like that.
yeah. So I think here, I think the important thing from a design perspective is that, again, think about customer first behavior, right? Like put yourself in the shoes of the actual end user. If you're a person who's coming in on Flipkart to place an order for, say, some kitchen utensils or something, right? Um, the idea is that you want to come in, you're coming there not to make new friends, you're coming there for a purpose, right? You're coming there with that something in mind that, okay, I'm going to check out whatever is on sale, see if I like something and then buy, right? Or I know I have to buy this specific thing, I'm out of college stationery or whatever, right? And I'm coming here and do the transaction and done, and I bounce out of the app, right? So here, the idea is not to get the user hooked into something like a level progression kind of a game, right? Like Candy Crush, or something that players keep coming back to again and again and have a lot of depth in design, etc. Right? Like those games usually don't tend well because when I go to Flipkart, even if there is a game, I would probably check it out for like 30 seconds. If I like it, I might play for a 1 or 2 minutes and then go back to my main work, whatever it was I was doing outside the app itself, right? But then the app can ping me again to say, hey, your energy bar is full, or your meter is done, or your currency is ready to collect, or your farm is burning, or whatever, right? The goal there is from a game design lens to bring you back into the game as frequently as possible, right? And typically the frequency changes between 4 to 6 hours, right? That's usually a good rule of thumb. That if you can bring the user back into the into the application every 4 to 6 hours, then you have basically made them a sticky user, right? Like they keep coming back to you over and over again, right? And that's the core idea for these games, and that's why intentionally these games are more hyper casual in nature or casual in nature, where you don't need to invest too much effort to learn these games. Like Manas mentioned, the CID example, they're usually trying to bring in some kind of a nostalgia or something relatable that you already know about. The moment you see a graphic or the name itself, you immediately know what to expect, right? You don't have to worry about what it is, right? If I gave you a Flipkart app with a game that has a Japanese name to it or something, you'll be like, I have no idea what this game is about, right? But if it says like CID Puzzler, you immediately know, okay, it's CID theme and it's a puzzle game, right? There's no more education of the customer that is needed in order to get them in, right? So then that's the typical sort of design decision process that follows. Whether, like, I think Ranjit, you were saying, right, like usually the idea is that somebody would give the development team ki yaar, okay, Flappy Bird is getting very famous, let's make a version of that, right? It's again the same thing. You're trying to um, reference something that people already know about, and that's where you don't have to educate the audience that this is something cool that they should check out, right? The moment that they see it, they
It's
immediately
basically
know.
like they make it the theme version of, like, if the Sony Live is there, they will take the latest CL which is going on, then try to implement them on the game like that.
Yeah, correct, correct. It's the same thing, right? Like you decorating your house on a festival, right? So you would not decorate your house on Holi with a Christmas tree, right? So if you have a sale going, which is like a Black Friday sale or Diwali sale or something, you accordingly sort of uh, theme the entire app slash the game environment with something that feels familiar, right? Recognizable. So, so that's a little bit on the game design philosophy of um, what happens behind the scenes, and that's why these games usually tend to be more HTML5 native because they're easy to integrate versus, say, like making a full on Android application, which would need a proper installation and everything. Hopefully that makes sense. Manas, Ranjit, Darren, Piyush, anything else you guys want to add?
No. Any questions in the audience? I hopped in between, so I don't have all context.
Yep, I think
Yep.
Abhinav has just raised his hand. So
So,
Abhinav,
Hello.
yeah, Abhinav, go ahead.
Yeah, great talk going on. Love it. I just you mentioned hello.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yep.
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you mentioned purpose, right? And metaverse is something, not the NFT part, but just like metaverse as a virtual world in which people can interact. How do you design an experience as as a game designer for a world like that, which lacks that driven purpose of a traditional video game where you do things for a certain reason?
Hmm. So you're saying how do you design a game in the metaverse, or
I mean,
how do you design a game in like the
no,
Flipkart kind of an ecosystem where there
well,
isn't a connected Vara ecosystem there?
no, not necessarily a game per se, but like as a game designer, if you're designing a metaverse, like a virtual world itself, your first goal is to establish the systems based on which the metaverse will exist, right? The different systems, so economy, etc., and everything. However, there is a lack of purpose in the metaverse. People create their own purpose. If you take Minecraft for that example, Minecraft doesn't tell you that you have to do this, you have to, you know, make a weapon and then go there. How God of War does, or how Red Dead Redemption 2 does. It has a inherent purpose provided to the player. Whereas in the metaverse, you do not necessarily have a purpose. It is for you to explore the world. So how do you design a particular experience or a virtual world for a player or any individual for that matter in that case?
Hmm. Okay, got it. So I'll just repeat the question. Essentially, you're saying, um, how do you design sandbox games?
Yeah, but like not make them very game centric, like how we have like
Sure.
so yeah,
Make sandbox experiences.
yes.
Hmm, got it. I think I can share my thought process. If anybody else wants to jump in as well, feel free to raise uh, slash unmute. But before we dive into this, I do want to highlight out that we often don't understand what metaverse really is. And I've seen a lot of folks sort of trip up uh, because they have some skewed notion of what really metaverse is, right? So for folks who might have some thoughts around it, what exactly is metaverse? Maybe Abhinav, you can start with it. Just share your thought process around what do you think a metaverse really is, and then for others, either chat versus just raise hand. Yeah, Abhinav, you want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's a virtual space where people can communicate and can do activities together, which is not driven either by, games. Like, of course, there are parallels that can be drawn with games, but it strays away from the games. What do you say? So if you're in Fortnite, you're still communicating and then you're still interacting with your friends and going on a quest, and you're not necessarily quest, like you're killing people and then this whole thing going on. Whereas in a metaverse, I feel like it's a virtual space where you can communicate, do activities that sort of replicate your regular life as well to some extent. I think so.
Interesting. Anyone else? Manas, Shivam, Ranjit.
It's
Basically, you can say it's a virtual game where you're not gaming but experiencing the other things around it.
That would raise another question as to what is gaming. I've seen it, not played it. Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
there was one more, right? The office one that we were discussing. Uh,
There are ample of those, right? Like virtual office environments where where remote teams can have like team members in an office can have like their avatars, and you can
mhm.
literally just walk around the floor in a top-down RPG kind of view, um, and just sort of interact with your team members like you would do it in a real office, etc. So there are those kind of things as well. Um, but yeah, so I think would you guys think Minecraft is a metaverse?
Yes.
Okay, others, what do you guys think? Is Minecraft a metaverse?
How do we define a metaverse?
That that's the point, right?
It's is World of Warcraft a metaverse?
Exactly, right? So you could potentially join a World of Warcraft
To
clan
yeah.
back in like 1990s or something, and just hang out, do voice chat in game with your friends, and just hang out there, chill, right? Don't go on a mission, don't complete any quest, etc. You can do all that stuff as well, right? So somehow like this metaverse thing after Facebook's change has definitely picked up more public sentiment. But when it comes to games, having online game experiences, whether there is a directed objective or not, I think that's the biggest, at least from Abhinav's original question slash uh, the way he tried to articulate it. The thought process is always that is the game or the experience or the environment giving you a specific objective. So in case of PUBG, it would be like be the last person standing out of the arena of X players or whatever, right? And same goes for like Fortnite and other such category of games. In cases like Minecraft, there isn't no explicit objective, right? Yes, there are modes of that game now as well, there where you have objectives, etc. Um, but again, those are just kind of, you can think of them as mods as well, right? So in my mind, metaverse was a thing that existed back in 80s as well in gaming, right? It's just that that word has gained a lot of popularity today because of Facebook and a lot of the other sort of positive sentiment about games coming to the limelight, right? But technically, it was possible. You could have online environments, whether it's a VR environment or a physical, no, sorry, not a physical, just like a 2D environment, etc., where you are just hanging out, talking to people either via chat or in-game voice, and just sharing that experience. Whether that experience can be about completing a quest together or just hanging out, playing music, watching movies, and so on and so forth, right? So for me, that's that's metaverse where you get to interact with a lot of people virtually um, from a distance, basically place and do stuff together, right? That's very loose definition in my mind for metaverse. I don't know if anyone agrees, disagrees strongly.
Yeah, kind of agree, yes. But again, you have to add that layer of gamification in some way, shape, or form, to be honest. Like, what is the objective? Why are we here? Wala thing. So there has to be like a theme attached. Think of it this way, right? LinkedIn is a networking platform. Facebook is a socializing platform. Instagram is like a picture sharing platform. They're still trying to find an identity, but people know what they'll be doing when they come to that particular platform. So that identity, I think every metaverse product needs to nail as well.
Fair enough. Yep.
Have you
Um.
ever?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. Have you ever played Rec Room kind of a thing?
Yeah, I've not played it myself, but I've seen it and read about it as well. Yeah. So it's kind of like
Okay.
the VR
Yeah,
experience,
it's
right?
not. You can say it as a VR experience, but when you play it, it will be like a bunch of games that consists of. This is one type of NFT come metaverse. This comes with, like, you can play battle royale games a little bit with low polish style. There are bunch of games that gives you the quest and then completes this quest, and they will give some NFTs. They will be rewarding this NFTs kind
Yeah.
of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Rec Room is actually very similar to um, which is the PUBG style, sorry, not PUBG, why I'm saying PUBG, Minecraft style, other popular game in Roblox. So if folks know about Roblox, which is also a multi-billion dollar company in US now, very similar to Minecraft in art and style and similar to Rec Room, the idea is that there is a creator side of it and there is a consumer side of it. So if you are interested in creating experiences and designing experiences, right? So Abhinav, to your original question, thinking about designing these kind of experiences and online virtual places, right? I think Rec Room has a creator mode as well. Narsimha, just correct me if I'm wrong there. But from what I understand is Rec Room has a creator mode where you as a creator can go in, set up an environment and you can put in some constraints, you can put in some rules, etc. And then others can join in to either hang out in that place or play some games in that space, right? So it's a very similar to how this thing uh, Roblox is also structured. Yeah.
I can say some examples like it's like a MPL. MPL is kind of through the app we are playing it. This is kind of through some metaverse experience which comes with this. Lot of peoples will be engaged with these things with the games. Everything they have some. Like you said, each and every person has their own instructions and own rooms. Each and every person has their, after finishing the instruction kind of a thing, after finishing some instructions, they will be allotting some rooms for each and every person. There will be bed and everything which is in the house, whatever we represent in the day to day life, that is there in the rec room kind of a thing there. Whenever you complete some quest, some NFTs will be popping up. You can gain that, and I don't know to sell that and all, but how far I understood and I played this much only.
Yeah, yeah. I think they added NFTs recently, but Rec Room, I think, is probably started around 2016 or something. So they were around and doing well even before a lot of the NFT craze started coming in during COVID as well. But yeah, um, but I think Abhinav, your original question was more around designing games for or designing experiences around this kind of thing, right? If I'm not mistaken, just correct me. I think we lost track of the original.
Oh, no, no, yeah, it was. Another thing that I would like to add in the case of metaverse is also there are two things that actually um, make create a difference between the metaverse and the games that we have been referring to so far. There's this sense of community-driven engagement, as in like the game traditionally the game is managed by us developers, and then once we launch it and once we decide to end it, the game ends, right? So let's say GTA Online decides to end their thing, GTA Online is ended. Whereas in the case of Metaverse, because it's so community driven, the game keeps on growing. Not necessarily the game, but the Metaverse keeps on growing based on what the community needs. Take Star Access for that matter. The game hasn't even been released yet, but content is being generated by the people who are interested and invested in that whole concept of Star Access. Another thing is the ownership thing, which Nasimha also mentioned with the NFTs in the Rec Room. Well, there are these things, but like I am kind of I do not really support the whole NFT thing in the gaming, especially with Ubisoft and their measures. Yeah, but like that's off topic. But like
Yeah.
what I really wanted to ask you was how do you design these experiences? I mean, there is a you can design like an articulate system where like these things exist. Where so there was this video that I saw which was about Sims being a purposeless game, and the systems were designed for the player to create their own purpose within the game.
Hmm.
So, is it a similar situation with that? Do you just focus on creating systems and let the players do what they want with the system, or do you like have implicit objectives for the players within the game?
Yeah. Good question. So I think it comes down to how does the original team or the creators of the game or the environment or the virtual world, etc., what is their intent? What is it that they're trying to deliver as an experience to the end customer, right? So even if you like the same actually applies to anything that falls under the realm of an experience per se, right? Whether it's about a movie, whether it's about a virtual experience, virtual world, whether it's about a game, a story, doesn't matter, right? When you're trying to take somebody a on a journey of some sorts, right? Through an experience, through a journey, through feeling some emotions, conveying some story, etc. Right? At the end of the day, it's all about what is it that you're, as a designer, as a creator, what is it that you're trying to get across, right? So if you look at some indie games that I can think of, like what is that one? I'm like blanking out on the name. Super Meat Boy. So if you guys have seen Super Meat Boy, it's a super hard game that you are a blob of meat and you're trying to complete these quick levels, and it's fairly hard, but then the levels are fairly short, so you keep repeating again and again. So it's a very specific kind of an emotion slash experience um, that the creators wanted to deliver, right? On the other hand, you look at games that are in the Dark Soul series, for example, right? There is, if I'm not mistaken, Dark Souls doesn't have like a um, easy, medium, hard kind of a setting, right? There's no setting as such. That you
No setting as such, no.
right, correct. So, and that was always an intentional choice by the designer. I think um, I remember reading an article about the game itself where the design team was like we never wanted to introduce that choice at all, because what that ends up doing is it's completely destroys the way the game was meant to be played or experienced, right? And they wanted the game to feel frustrating and hard because that's the that's the lore of the world, right? That they've tried to create with those series of games, right? That's the kind of the world that they want to give an impression of. So that's the, it more comes down to the intent behind what you're trying to
Also,
create,
to add to
right?
that, these developers, specifically the ones who made Dark Souls, they made it hard, but they also have put in ways for you to make the game easier for yourself if you want, right? You can always go out of your way to grind a little bit and to get better weapons, or you could, instead of playing as a melee character, switch to a casting character and make the game easier for yourself. But the option is there, but it's never explicitly told you that this makes the game easier. It's up to
Yeah.
you to experiment and find out what is working.
Correct. And that's because they want you to explore the world, right? They want you to go fishing and figure out what all you can do around the world here, right? And what all you cannot do, right? There are a lot of these platformer games which anybody can pick up a controller and start playing. But in order to do speed runs, you have to minutely master every detail, right? Every jump, every timing, etc. The same applies to even like your these classic fighting games as well, right? That are played even at the competitive level. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to what the creators and the designers' original vision was as to what is the emotion, what is the story, what is the experience that you want to communicate. And then that determines a lot of the micro decisions that do I put in missions or do I put in systems? So specifically like Abhinav, what you were asking earlier, right? Like I can create systems inside my experience that let the players do certain things, but not tell them specifically that go collect 10 flowers, right? But I can create systems that encourages them to collect flowers, right? Um, so whether I'm going with an explicit mission-based protocol inside my experiences so that they have a certain type of an experience, or whether I keep it more open-ended and try to build systems around it, and through the systems they find out what their purpose in that world is, right? It eventually comes down to what is it that you're designing and what is it that you want to deliver to your end customers. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that was very comprehensive.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can look at a lot of good indie game projects as a good experience, especially the ones that take a very bold stance about something. For example, these guys said that we'll not introduce the easy, medium difficulty, hard difficulty kind of setting because that completely screws up the original intent itself, right? Going through Dark Souls at a speed, pace, and easy mode, you'll just not enjoy it, right? The way the team wanted it. So you can look at some of these more extreme examples, and that will give you a sense of understanding as to what kind of bold decisions that you want to make. I cannot think of any open world games. Maybe
Uh,
um
yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's Outer Wilds.
Yeah,
Outer Wilds is
exactly.
there, yeah.
Yep, yep. Outer Wilds is one. I was thinking of these uh, GTA kind of these other ones as well, right? Like Witcher 3, these kind of games that have a very large, expansive world where nobody's forcing you to do missions. You can literally just walk around, talk to NPCs, and all of these NPCs have weird kind of backstories to share, and these are actual things that the team has actually injected life into these game worlds, right?
Bethesda
Um,
games like Fallout,
Bethesda,
Elder
exactly. Yep.
Scrolls.
Yep, yep. Bethesda games are also a good example of this. So it endly comes down to the vision of the team itself and the vision for the project, what exactly the project is trying to achieve. It doesn't matter whether it's in the metaverse, online, offline, physical, like the philosophy behind design remains the same. Yep, feel free to add anything else, Manas, Ranjit, Piyush, and anyone else if you want to raise your hand.
I have a shameless plug.
Hmm.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah.
So it's Friday today, guys, and usually on Fridays we ship out our weekly newsletter, Outscale Khat we call it. So just check out the event announcement. There you can subscribe for it. No bullshit. no crap, no spamming, pure value. And a lot of things that we discussed today, you'll get a detailed analysis of these topics inside the newsletter. I am also dropping the link on the event chat, so you can check it out.
Yeah, that was a shameless plug.
Yeah, sorry.
Good,
Yeah,
awesome.
back to
Uh, Back to the topic. But yeah, anyone else wants to jump in? I've not seen the event chat in a while. There seems like a lot of chat here. If I missed any questions, just please bring it up.
Yeah, I'm currently playing Ghost of Tsushima, and that also has like beautiful world. Just don't need to explore, do the missions if you want to. Just you can do simple shit as like just cutting bamboo and mashing a bunch of buttons together to upload. That's it.
I spent so much time in like games like those just sitting in the photo mode and taking
Yeah,
screenshots.
yeah, yeah. And like that game is beautiful. Like literally, you can spend hours and hours just sitting there and taking screenshots from different angles. Plus, the
Never done that.
character backstory is also like very interesting. Like most of it is Japanese folklore. So there was this person, this god, etc., etc., and all of their stories normally revolve around nature, like a lot of mythology. There will be some story with like lightning. There will be some story where there's wind taking the center stage, etc., etc. So like very interesting world they built.
But somehow, I'm hearing this for the first time. Maybe I'm too old for this shit. But like sitting in game and taking screenshots, probably what to turn them into what wallpapers or what?
No, it's nice like taking photos in real life.
hey,
Like
this.
I was playing Stray, it just came out, and it has such nice like the design, the world design, everything is so beautiful that I was just sitting. It doesn't even have a photo mode. I was just sitting trying to make the camera, setting the camera angle just right to take a good screenshot because it just looked nice.
Interesting, interesting.
I thought you were talking about some achievements that you have unlocked, taking a screenshot of that.
Mm,
So
no, no, this
um,
is just the pure play game world itself. The world inside the and
Yeah.
the environment and the setting and the surrounding and everything.
Yeah, so you can pause the game literally and move the camera around, take screenshots. Even in Ghost of Tsushima, you can literally take a small video as well because the wind, etc., the grass will move, and you can record a short video inside photo mode as well.
Some next
interesting.
level, some next level cinematography or something like that.
Yeah, and it has like a black and white Kurosawa mode as well. So, like the old samurai movies used to be there, you can
Yeah,
literally play the entire game in black and white if you want.
I'll
interesting.
need to start sharing some Twitter threads where it's just people posting amazing like photography shots and like videos, super cinematic videos, small
Yeah,
clips from games.
yeah,
Okay, I think if you go down the Twitter rabbit hole, then I think then the conversation will not end.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, cool, awesome. I think we overshot the 8 o'clock time limit. We can probably do one more questions if you guys want, or we can cap it off. Uh,
Uh, I need to leave. Sorry, came
okay,
back just because people said no, and I was like, okay, I'll come back.
cool, cool. Okay, awesome. So I think what we can do is we can then cap off the conversation now, Pish. Or do we have something? If there is some question that I might miss because I didn't read the full chat in between. Otherwise, we can cap it off for today, guys. Just let me know. Did we miss anything? Yes, no. Do you guys see
Nope,
anything?
there. I don't think we have missed something. Like if probably covered more than what is there in even chat. If someone feels that their question has been missed, please quickly drop it in the even chat. Now I'm just scrolling through the past chat.
Yeah, I think we missed Piyush's question. What is the NFT?
No, no, that wasn't a question. We don't want to go there.
Yeah, I think it's gonna open up a next can of worms. But I don't think NFT generally are bad. It's just the how they are executed. Uh, they can add some good real value as well.
Uh,
So
yeah,
we can maybe discuss it next time on Clan Labs.
yeah. Other than this, GTA 6 just introduced the first Latina protagonist. So first female character that you can play with ever in GTA 6. Otherwise, they were only like NPCs till now.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Awesome, guys. So I think thanks again for joining in. Hopefully, this was fun, exciting. Just let us know how the overall session went. We've been trying to redo or bring up Clan Labs back again. They were on pause for almost like 2 months, I think, or more. Um, but let us know what do you think, parts that you like, parts that you didn't like. We'll try to improve it for next time as well. All right. Good. Awesome, guys. Thanks again for sticking around and participating. Would love to have more people participate next time. So feel free to bring in your questions, jump in on discussions as well. That's always more fun to